Hello and welcome back to another episode of Service Hero Toolbox, brought to you by your favorite commercial food equipment service association, or CFESA to the layperson. Today we have an awesome guest. I'm super excited to talk with her because it's a big deal what she's involved in, and I'm excited to deliver this type of information to our members, to our audience, and anybody listening. We have Maureen Azzato from Field Service USA with us today. Going to tell us a little bit about herself, her involvement, and what's so important about Field Service USA. So, without further ado, Maureen, welcome to the show.
It's my privilege to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Welcome, Maureen.
absolutely. So, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you give us a little bit of background? Tell us, where you come from, how you got to where you are today, and just a little bit about you.
Sure, thank you. I'm the portfolio director for a group of events called Field Service USA. Within that group, we have actually four field service events. One on the West Coast, which is the one that my friend Nick Cribb is going to be speaking at and moderating a panel on, and that's in Palm Springs every year, usually in the spring. Then we have an East Coast event, which is in Hilton Head in August, so that helps people who are more centered to the east side of the country. And then we have one that's focused on medical, which this industry won't be so concerned with. So that's our whole portfolio. We also have an event in Europe, which is a little newer. We've done that for the past 10 years. And field service, believe it or not, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. So we're very excited about that. And the event is owned by Worldwide Business Research, WBR. A lot of people know us that way. And we have about 75 events across most major industrial sectors: travel, insurance, procurement, supply chain, etc. I've been with the company about 3 years, and I love this portfolio in particular. It's a very engaged market, and I think very generous. I've noticed that maybe it's because you all are so service oriented. You share a great deal. It's one of my favorite events. So, in my past life, I was an editor and publisher in a related industry to food service and food service equipment. I was the editor and publisher of Convenience Store News, which, of course, food service is an integral part of the convenience store business. And so that's where I met many of the companies that are part of CFESA. And I've expanded that base even further with this event. And then I had my own business for quite a while and had my own publication in the food service industry. It was really more on the prepared foods and food to go. So have a great love for this sector, and I'm glad to be a part of it once again with this group of events.
Absolutely. Well, that's a storied history specifically in this industry. So we are absolutely lucky to have you on the show. I'm very, very excited to learn a little bit more about Field Service USA. So can you tell us a little bit about that particular event? I mean, what it is, when it started, why it started?
Yeah, it began in 2003. Like I said, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. Initially, it started like most B2B events do, is trying to help the sector improve performance, share best practices. At the time that we started, I looked back as we're looking at our anniversary this year. What were the major topics that were of interest in 2003? And they were really very centered on blocking and tackling on service, right? The fundamentals of what we would consider today the fundamentals of service. And it evolved over time, especially in the past 5 to 7 years, on the digitalization and the automation tools to help the sector become more efficient. And also, there's been a big shift back in 2003. It was really, service was a cost center, and it has shifted very significantly to a profit center. So that mind shift has been a significant change, sea change for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you kind of enlighten us a little bit on what that means? I think the membership would probably be curious to have that expanded a little bit. What does it mean to shift from a cost center to a profit center in the service world?
Yeah, I think back in the early days, it was considered something that should be a part of the product itself. That you should service my product I buy, and it should last forever, and you should take care of it forever. I think that mindset has shifted. That because there's so many other tools available, there's different models. There was I think one of the biggest shifts, perhaps, is also in the servitization trend is looking at different profit models. Perhaps it's not owning the equipment. Perhaps it's leasing the equipment and paying for service, almost like a service, service as a service, so to
Mhm.
speak. Where you don't own the equipment, but you pay for service and the upkeep and maintenance and the conditioning of that service. And I think the mindset has also shifted to trying to keep equipment maintained high all the time to prevent any downage and outages, right? So that whenever equipment is down, it costs the businesses money. So that focus on keeping equipment operational, even the focus on preventing um, breakdowns or downtime, that's been a major shift in the market as well. And technology has enabled and is enabling all of that. And I think the pandemic is probably the biggest proof in the pudding of how that worked, right? So many shifted to remote service, and there was so much that could be done, through computers and digital tools, that now that we're emerging out of the pandemic, people are saying, you know what, these tools are great. We're going to keep them. We're going to keep evolving them and keep moving forward with the automation that is just strengthening, our ability to serve customers' needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, anything to piggyback off of that before I move on?
Yeah, a couple things that she said there, one of them being the information piece. I know that these smart kitchens that we're hearing a lot about in our sector are huge, and it's about, just upping yields and basically trying to avoid downtime. And then like energy usage and stuff like that. If they've got say 20,000 restaurants and they have the smart technology that tells them how many times those compressors are short cycling, as an example, I mean, that could be burning a whole lot of money up for them, whereas they could otherwise, correct the issues. That's something we're seeing in our, right in front of our face every day now too. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
interesting
amazing.
that's happening across the board.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other piece that, because of all the digital tools, it throws off an incredible amount of data. And now that we've been doing this, for several years, now it's about harnessing that data. What can we learn from it? What information can we give back to our client base, right, to make them smarter about their businesses, the way they operate? And I think this is where the true value is going to lie in the future, where you're not just a repair and service company, you're an insights company. You're sharing knowledge on, with your customers, how they can improve their businesses all around. So I think that data is going to be a tremendous asset in the future.
Yeah, I've had an
No.
industry peer of mine label it this way. He says that we've got to fix broken things, but this data, we're going to be able to weaponize this data later to create more value than anybody ever expected.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to think about weaponizing data.
Yeah, so valuable for this industry in particular,
Yeah.
right? I'm very, very excited to see what the future holds, and I think that Field Service USA is probably a great source of information to be able to learn what's happening in the future. So, but we're going to get to that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So I'm curious, Maureen, what is your role within Field Service USA? I know you said you're the portfolio director, but help us understand a little bit about what that means and what your responsibilities are with the event.
Yeah, so this specific event, I'm the producer. And in my world, in the event world, a producer is in charge of researching the industry, the sector. We have an advisory board that we rely on for insights of what's going on, keep us close to your customers so we understand what your pain points are. how you're addressing those pain points, and then that helps us build an agenda. And that's the next part of my job, is once I gather all the information, I build an agenda. I send it to my advisory board and a couple of other key people that help me with my research and say, hey, what do you think? Have I captured the major themes? Have I captured the topics you want to hear when you come to this event? And I get great feedback. And then the next phase is the recruitment of the speakers who can address those themes and topics. And then I manage the whole event from research all the way to delivery. I kick off the event. I'm the MC, so to speak, of the event, and I train and help and all my speakers and make sure they know what to expect at the event. And we do all sorts of prep calls with our speakers. And so it's a soup to nuts job. It's great because you're in it from the beginning to end. You develop it, you build it, and then you get to execute on site.
And then how soon after you perform an event are you working on the next one?
And we work about 9 months in advance. So
Okay.
our research usually starts 9 months in advance, and that's true of all our events. And I have 3 events that I produce personally in my portfolio, and 2 of them are related to food service. I have Field Service Palm Springs and then Field Service Europe, which we have usually in November, early December. And we tend to host that out in Amsterdam, so not a bad gig.
No
And
kidding.
and then a related event I have, it's a little newer. It was a launch in 2018, is called Connected Manufacturing Forum. And that's all about Industry 4.0. So there's a lot of relationship between the field service group and connected manufacturing, because there's so many manufacturers within field service who are also implementing Industry 4.0 in their manufacturing practices, although it'd be different people that would come to my event on manufacturing.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you work very little. You
Yeah.
don't do
They don't give us too much downtime in between. The minute you finish one event, you're launching another. So
well, and if my math is correct, you said there's about 9 months in between, that you're planning. So you're always juggling at least 2 at a time, right? I
at least,
mean, yeah, that's got to be difficult. I don't envy you.
yeah.
You
At
know,
one point, maybe for about a month, I have 3 going, but I'm at the beginning of one and sort of the horizon of the other. So it usually works out pretty well. Gets a little hairy sometimes.
I've
no.
got like a 1 hour segment in one of those things you've got going on, and I'm a little stressed about that. And here you are juggling 3 complete events from start to stop. You wear it well, Maureen. You're doing great.
Thanks. Well, I'm excited about now that you brought it up, the session that you're going to be moderating. It's a huge issue, I think, in the sector, and that's the shrinking labor pool. And where do you find good help? Good technicians, good engineers, and where do you start? And how do you partner with local communities, trade schools? Even some other non-traditional approaches. So you have a great panel that I'm looking forward to you leading to address this really important issue. I think, and this is an issue across all industrial sectors, but it's particularly challenging in field service.
Yeah, well, as a slight prelude, I'm going ahead and give a tip of the cap to my buddy Josh Zolin because he's greatly influenced my thoughts and perspectives on that shrinking labor pool, and kind of disrupted the way a lot of people look at it. That we don't need to be looking from within our industry; we need to be looking from outside of it, and that it's not just getting new people in, but it's also keeping the really good ones that we have. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. And Josh, I'm looking forward to spreading your good news as I get over there in California. I'll try not to screw it up, man.
Oh, thanks, man. If you need any
That's
tips, let me know. And on that topic, I just think it's important for this call and the membership to know that one of my best and brightest up and coming technicians was a mailman. He
Wow,
went from mailman to technician. So that's take that for what it's worth,
that's right.
yeah.
But it's a perfect example of looking outside the industry and hiring on character and teaching the skill set. But anyway, moving on. I don't want to go down any rabbit holes
I'm
here.
getting fired up. That's right.
No, don't get me started.
Well, retention is so important. I mean, it's critical. And
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, you really have to hire for ability to learn and personality and, ability to balance multiple things is not necessarily their technical skills. You can teach that. You can't teach personality and a service minded orientation.
that's right.
Agreed.
So who actually attends Field Service USA? What's the bulk of your attendance, and what is it that they look for when they arrive?
Sure. Um, for on average, 60/40 is our ratio between the service leaders, and then we have solution providers who also attend, some being sponsors and some who just come as attendees to learn and explore as well. And the level, our speaker level tends to be quite high. We're at the C level, VP, SVPs, directors of service, but we also attract manager level, and a lot of people bring their teams, so they use the event as a platform to bring 10, 15 members of their teams, have meetings, or they use them, I think, the event also as a reward sometimes for their team
Mhm.
members to come learn and extricate from their day to day and come rub elbows with other people who do what they do, and have deep learning.
No, that's fantastic. Sounds incredibly valuable. Admittedly, I haven't been to the event, but I do want to go. So I'm still considering it this year, and either the West Coast or the East Coast. I mean, either one seems good. You said the East Coast one is in August, right?
Correct. And I want
Very
to make sure to give you the right dates there.
cool.
August 15th to the 17th this year.
And the one in April in Palm Springs. What are the dates for that one?
That's April 25th to the 27th.
I'll get a room with a pull-out couch, Zolin, if you change, if you're ever looking.
Right on, but oh, very cool. So I'm really curious. You said you've been doing this for 20 years. I imagine it with a big focus on technology, year after year after year. There's different things. There's evolution in the type of information that you're providing. What is different this year about years past? Anything?
In the programming for sure. One big shift, and I think, Nick, you mentioned it a little bit on the smart kitchens, with energy conservation, and that's like one pillar of sustainability, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ability to, everyone's just a little bit more aware, in the past, on sustainability. So everyone's a little bit more aware of their carbon footprint, the need to really get your arms around it. And I think finally understanding that sustainability is good business practice, because the more sustainable you are as a company, the more profitable you'll be. You're removing costs, fundamentally from how you operate. So if your energy is more, if you're conserving more energy and doing more with less, if you're recycling, if you're reducing waste in your practices, all of that is good for your fundamental bottom line. So we're starting to see a bigger evolution in that. And I think digitalization has brought about, I think, the focus on the ability to execute on sustainability, right? If you have smart sensors, smart devices that are telling you, hey, you could be more efficient here, or this isn't a great practice. You need to, shore this up. Um, you know, uh, Technology is just making us smarter and helping us, be able to deliver on sustainability goals for sure.
One
Absolutely.
cool example I heard is I had a friend of mine that said he was operating with IoT in the smart kitchens, and he had 8,000 kitchens that had a dishwasher in it, and one of those 8,000 was running like 9 times a day. And so he sent somebody there and figured it out. And the manager was so anal about the kitchen being clean that if there was one fork on the floor, she'd throw the fork in there, put it in the dishwasher, and turn it on. And he was like, "Hey, let's fill the dishwasher up and let's try to run that thing twice a day." But it's a good picture of, people are wired different. She thought she was doing a good job by keeping every item she could clean, in this example. But if that were to have spread and it was 20 or 30 or 40 kitchens doing that, there's wear and tear on the machine, there's energy being overused, and it's just one cool way example that they were able to your point, Maureen, drop that straight to the bottom line. They alleviated the cost of it.
Yeah, yeah. So education is really important, right? I think your
Hmm.
example is,
Yep.
points to that, is, and letting everybody in this, in the service stream understand what role they play in achieving sustainability, right? Why is it important, and also what's in it for them, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's incentives or rewards that you can give them, but they need to understand it. If they don't understand it, they're not going to care, right?
Right.
What's in it for them? Those are the magic words right there.
Yeah.
No, and that's fantastic. And I am curious. I'm going to take us down a little bit of a side path here, just because Maureen, you've got kind of this bird's eye view. It seems like over the industry and the coming technology and stuff like that. I'm wondering what associations you've seen between the willingness to adopt this new technology and the success of service companies.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can draw, immediate correlations between companies that had, invested early in technology and reaping the rewards for sure. And it's rare that you talk to anybody that says, I'm doing things the old school way and I'm still doing fine. I don't need this. It's really, it's an imperative. It's a competitive imperative now.
Mm.
So many companies are investing in it. If you don't invest in digital tools and analytics to help you shore up your strength as an operator, you're just going to get pushed out of the market.
Yeah, you hear that, everyone? If you're not going to listen to me, listen to Maureen.
No
Okay.
kidding. That's a good word.
All right, listen. As Nick knows, I like to issue challenges on this show, to membership and to service company owners and stuff like that. So if anybody out there is listening, chances are, if you're listening or watching this show, you probably have a little bit of a technological mindset, which is a good thing. You're already ahead of the curve, but please rewind and listen exactly to what Maureen just said. Okay, it's a competitive imperative. I like that statement right there because it's so true. And if you want to succeed in the future in this industry, you have got to begin adopting this technology. Not only adopting this technology, but looking ahead and seeing what tomorrow could bring. So, and Field Service USA, from what I understand, just from this meeting, is a very good way to do that. So that's my challenge today for the listeners.
And if I could
uh,
add the other piece that you're going to be able to do, everybody hears about AI, right? Machine learning. There's going to be people who have the foundational technologies in place and the data to apply AI and machine learning to are going to be way ahead. You're going to be, I can't even imagine what AI is going to do for our life, and how it's going to change the way we operate and do business. It's just just going to be a huge sea change, and I think it's very exciting. But you got to be in it, right? To,
Yeah,
to
that's right.
to play and get the benefits from it. So get in it.
Absolutely. You walked into this one, Maureen. I got another question for you surrounding that. Where do you see AI and machine learning uh, most proficiently being adopted into this particular industry, and what area is it being most used now and in the future?
Yeah, I think I think the most practical one is being able to get into predictive maintenance. And
Mm.
the next phase is prescriptive, where, lots of, you can anticipate something going down, and then you get in there and you condition it, you make sure it never goes down. And a piece of equipment can last 330 days without going down. You want to get in there on 329, 328, get in there, do the work so that that system never goes down. You go in and repair it when it's least needed, overnight or maybe early morning, whatever, so that there's no downtime. And the prescriptive is a little more even advanced, is where you can see what's going on in a piece of equipment and recommend certain things, to it. Advanced analytics, or adding some other components, or modernizing a certain feature because maybe it's a legacy system that you've been able to add things to, but maybe that's not going to suit you in the future. Start thinking about what it could become, or do you need a new piece of equipment to either attach to that legacy system or something brand new. So yeah, it's just going to help you stay ahead of whatever's next. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Sounds like
absolutely.
weaponizing data is what it sounds like. I mean, when you start getting predictive and prescriptive with
Yeah,
things, and you're already 2 steps ahead because the data tells you so, that just
Yeah.
makes everybody more productive and efficient across the board.
Yeah. And then,
absolutely.
we talked a little bit about it, but also, that data is so valuable, and it's such an asset, and that asset can also be profit generating. There could be other products you could create out of that, other services you could provide to your customers who might not have the time or inclination to look at it and see the data, and spend the time digging into it like you can, because you understand the service aspects of that equipment or that company. So it could, yield new business opportunities that today we're not even, not even on our radar screen.
Mm.
The future is faster than you think, everyone. Get on board. All right, that's super cool. So I'm really curious, Maureen, what your personal favorite part of these events are.
Gosh, it has to be the people. I'm so amazed at, we touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but how much this industry shares. And to work with these speakers who are so extraordinary and open, they just share so much about their business. They really love the service business, and they want to see the whole sector succeed. We attract businesses from every industrial sector that you can think of. Food service equipment is just one. We also attract a great deal of industrial machinery manufacturers, telecom, technology, automation and technology, fire and security and safety. There's just, and medical equipment, of course, is a big one, medical devices. So we really, there's so much cross learning. And I think networking and introducing people to each other, so that they, share the fruits of what they're working on with each other. That's just incredibly rewarding, to be able to do that.
All right. Well, you sold me.
Yeah.
Definitely. This sounds like a competitive imperative
Oh.
that I attend. No, that's fantastic. So, out of curiosity, what's a typical attendance number of people, for these events?
Yeah. Since the pandemic, we came back live after, 2 years of virtual, and we were so happy to come back live in November 2021. And we've slowly but surely over the past 2.5 years grown almost back to where we were pre-pandemic. We're still a little under pre-pandemic levels of live events, but this event, the last one, was about 600 people. We expect this one coming up in April to be about 700, 750. We might break that 800 barrier. That would be great, but and that would bring us to pre-pandemic levels. So we're excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, before we wrap up, Nick, what else am I missing?
I'll tell you what, I'm still trying to digest all this good information. I was expecting it to be fruitful, but I'm over here. I got my imaginative and creative wheel spinning, man. That's really cool, and I appreciate the segue from AI and how important that is, and your thoughts on it. But going straight into, hey, my most favorite part about this is the people. Like, relationships still trump everything, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that a piece of paper with really good data on it's going to trump Zolin's ability to influence and impact me, on an
Yeah.
emotional and just a generally respectable level. And I appreciate you tying those things together. That's very similar to us in our association at CFESA. Is networking is one of our core values,
Yeah.
and that's not because we just want to hang out and kick it. It's because um, we've got people just like me who are better versions of themselves because of other people that have poured into them. And it's just really cool that you said that. I'm really excited about being a part of this event with you. We align with our values.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
no matter what, I mean, technology has brought us so much, whether it's remote tools, which are, a lot of companies are using, or virtual events like this. They're all wonderful, but it never seems to replace that need to be face to face with people. We need people. And,
Yeah.
I think this solidifies relationships faster than anything you can do virtually.
So, Maureen, can
Absolutely.
you sing? Are you a good singer?
I can sing a little bit.
Well, I had this thought, and I'm starting a band called Competitive Imperatives, and I need a lead singer. So
Yes.
consider that. Zolan, I'm going to need a bass player. All right.
I'm on the X, bud. No, that's awesome, and I couldn't agree more with that statement and that sentiment, Nick and Maureen. People first, then process, as
Mm.
always. always and forever. So that's awesome. In an effort to wrap it up, I'd like to reiterate once more the dates of the shows, where people can find more information, and then special plug for Mr. Cribb over there, Dr. President, and what day and time his session is at.
Yep. Just the dates of the event are coming up very soon, April 25th to the 27th. And Nick's session, the panel that he's moderating, is going to be on the April 26th. It's going to be at 4:25. And it's the Shrinking Labor Pool, Mining Labor from Local Community Colleges, Trade Schools, International Markets, and Other Non-Traditional Approaches. And he's got 3 people sitting on that panel, 2 that are related to the food service business. One is Brent Ringate from Bunn, which most of you know here as well. And then a gentleman from BLM Group, which actually makes industrial tubing. And then a gentleman from Crohn's, which is related to the beverage and food service industry. They do lines for production of food and beverage products. So it's going to be a great conversation. I'm really looking forward to it.
As am I.
Absolutely. And what are the dates for the one on the East Coast? One more time.
Yep. Field Service Hilton Head is August 15th to the 17th.
Perfect. And if somebody wants more information on the show, where can they find it?
Yeah, if you just even go into Google and put in the names of the events, Field Service Hilton Head and Field Service Palm Springs, it'll take you right to our websites with all the information. The agendas are on there, venue information, speakers, etc.
Awesome.
And you can always call me if you have to. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I know that our listeners, our audience will as well. And hopefully people can glean some insight from this and join yourself and Nick and possibly me at Field Service Palm Springs in April.
Well, wonderful. And I'm always open and recruiting speakers. So, if you're interested in speaking, you've got, something you want to share, please call me. Reach out.
Well, Zolin needs to be in your Rolodex for speaking. He's a very
sounds like it.
Yeah. And anybody out there listening, she said she was expecting 750 people, but let's get that thing over 800 if you're considering going, just meet us there.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.